Crystal Deal With It focuses on bridging the gap between where you're at now and where you'd like to be. We'll explore wisdom and techniques from a wide variety of domains and industries and apply them to your unique challenges. I love developing frameworks, processes, and storytelling metaphors that enable personal and business growth. Through actionable next steps, we'll build momentum and confidence. My goal is to help you clear roadblocks, do more with what you have, and realize the potential of yourself and your team. So throw your challenges my way, and Chris will deal with it. First, an AI statement that all elements of this episode are products of the author, Chris Kreuter, and made without the use of any AI tools. Episode 32, on principles. This episode is going to kick off our summer principles series. I believe that clearly defining your principles is a crucial element to living a life that's aligned with them. By more firmly defining these guideposts, we provide ourselves a stronger foundation to face opportunities and challenges in our lives. Most of us live our lives with principles, even if we've never codified them. These principles typically evolve throughout our lives and can take the form of maxims, aphorisms, mantras, and internal soundtracks. They evolve from a variety of factors: our parents, religion, philosophy, mentors, friends, our experiences, both positive and negative, education, books, favorite characters and shows, economic realities, the necessary responses and mindsets that helped us deal with specific situations, or something that we have to deal with regularly over a long period of time. Over the next 13 short episodes, I'm going to review each of my personal 13 core principles. The goal is to provide a little insight into how I've developed them as a guide to the process of discovering and uncovering your own personal code. For each episode, I'm going to answer a few key questions. Where does the principle come from? Why is it important? How does living it impact myself and others? And finally, what does living the principle look like in action? So I developed my own code of principles a few years back at a time when I was losing my footing often while I was adjusting to a lot of major changes in my life. I had become a father, a new job, I was balancing work and personal projects, and a lot more was going on. Developing this code started with a deep audit of what elements of my life were the most vital to me, or in other terms, how do I want to live my life? I whittled down a long list of brainstorms into a concise list, one that was simple, straightforward, and unambiguous, a list that I could keep clearly in my mind and heart. I wanted this code to be ambitious and connecting with ideals that are larger than myself. Little did I know that it would become the most important element of what's turned into a much more positive mindset shift. It's become a sort of keel that keeps me afloat through turbulent times without being too restrictive or proscriptive of an anchor, thereby preventing me from changing to new directions. I feel these principles have some universality to them, at least to my sensibilities, but I'm sure there's going to be many who might disagree with some or all. But this is the code that's worked well for me. With the exception of adding the 13th one on my list, I've never felt a desire or a need to change or modify them due to a specific situation or change in mindset. So without further ado, I'll list out my code of principles, and each of these principles will be its own episode in this series. 1. Live by the law of expenditure. 2. Train the mind, body, and soul. 3. Relentlessly seek knowledge. 4. Everyone has something to teach. 5. Find solitude to think deeply. 6. Don't be afraid to ask for help. 7. Own your words and actions. 8. Make this self your best self. 9. Thoughtful opinions held loosely. 10. Live minimized and organized. 11. Create beneficial things with passion. 12. Success is found in the effort. And 13, make wrong things right. And in case you are wondering, having 13 of them is a conscious choice, as I'm obsessively tied to the number 13, but maybe that's fodder for another episode. I have noted on past episodes about how I go into each year with a yearly theme rather than resolutions. And it's with that clear theme in mind that I align goals to it, ensuring that both theme and objectives resonate with my core principles. A key part of maintaining momentum during the year are those yearly and quarterly reviews. I did do a deep dive on this process back on episode 13, so I'm not going to rehash all of that here, and there'll be a link to that episode in the show notes. But for each of the quarterly reviews that I do, I consider each principle one at a time. I'll write down some reflections on how I've lived and acted in alignment or misalignment with each principle. And that exercise helps me identify areas where I need to realign to ensure that I stay on course to the person I aspire to be. In the case of developing a yearly theme, that theme often develops as a result of reviewing my principles over a longer time scale. I'll conclude this introductory episode by clearly stating that what works for me won't necessarily work for you. I am in no way advocating for my specific set of principles. They're no gospel, no prescription for what ails anyone. They are simply what allows me to thrive and live my values. One of the main reasons my principles have worked so well for me thus far is that they were crafted from whom I've grown to be and who I aspire to be. It's a deeply personal process, as it should be for anyone else. That's why I'm dedicating this summer to principles, helping to showcase their power and providing plenty of context on how they can influence our mindsets and actions. Let's kick off this principle series with a quote from the philosopher Jiddu Krishnamurti. Understanding of the self only arises in relationship, in watching yourself in relationship to people, ideas, and things, to trees, the earth, and the world around you and within you. Relationship is the mirror in which the self is revealed. Without self-knowledge, there is no basis for right thought and action. Have a great day.
If you feel that Chris dealt with it, I'd appreciate your support of the show by sharing it with someone who might benefit. Ratings on your favorite podcast player are also helpful in growing the audience. Visit chriskroiter.com for free downloadable PDFs with notes and resources from today's episode, sign up for the CDWI mailing list, or to send in your problems or requests for future shows. That's CHRISKREUTER.com, or use the link in the show notes. Thanks for listening to Chris Will Deal With It.